Hey guys, this is Brave and I'm back with another review of The Bachelor. Let's go ahead and dive right into this episode because there are a lot of things that I need to talk about really quickly. So first of all, let's start off with the battle between Yesenia and MJ. Well, I don't know if her name is Jasenia or is she going by like the Latin term and pronouncing the J as a different letter? I don't know. We're just gonna call her Jasenia. So we start this off with, them talking to Matt, and first Yesenia, she goes up and she's talking to Matt about, MJ and how MJ keeps talking about how she's leading by example and she has no examples of her leading at all. I will say that, Jasenia went in there, told the truth about MJ. Now, MJ, she's sitting around waiting on her turn, and she's over here crying and all this stuff. And she's like stressed out. And I'm like, girl, you just got caught. Like, just admit it. Let's move on. So when she gets in there to talk to Matt, she's over here crying about her biggest fear is losing Matt. And I'm like, girl, you don't know this man. You haven't had no one-on-one time with him. You barely got any type of notice this past episode. He don't think about you like that. So Matt is like, he loves being around her or whatever. And I'm just like, dude, I feel like you were just saying that to be nice. Like, let's be honest here. You're not thinking about MJ. So, after that, you have both of these ladies. They're sitting in the room waiting on Matt to come back in. And I mean, they are just bickering Betties. Like, they're just arguing, calling each other weak bitches. And MJ says that Jasenia needs to check herself. And then Matt, he's like, I have a really tough decision to make because he felt like he made a connection with MJ. I'm like, it's funny because he says that he made this connection with MJ, but he did not make this connection with Jasenia. Like, I just don't see it for them. Do any of you guys see it for Jasenia and Matt? Because I feel like he ain't paid her dust this whole time. So, after that, he tells MJ that he can't give her the rose and he ends up walking her out. So now MJ is gone. There's a no cocktail party again. Straight to the rose ceremony. Of course, the ladies, they want to talk to Matt. And then you have Ryan. She's over here crying. I'm like, girl, hold it together. And Serena C, she piped up and she called out Katie because she's like, Katie, you have been in all the drama, and she's the one who brought up all this bullying stuff, and that has taken up most of the time as of lately. Now, here's the thing. I do agree with the fact that this whole bullying situation and the girls being mean girls, it has taken up way too much time because whenever they get to this rose ceremony, they never get any time with this man because he's too busy talking about I need to figure out who's being a bully. Like, listen, women are going to be catty. Let's stop acting like they're going to be best friends. So, Katie, she does try to stand her ground in this conversation. But, again, I feel like, Katie, you did all of this just for her to be played tonight. I'll get there a little bit later. So, he gives the final rose to Serena C. And the ladies that ended up going home were Maggie, who I must say, she is so beautiful. Like, she is stunning. She's going to find a husband. Brittany went home. And Ryan went home. So I'm like, okay, so y'all brought these new girls in for no reason because the only new girl that is still standing is Michelle. And I feel like if him and Michelle did not go on that one-on-one date, she probably would be going too if we really want to be technical. Like, there was no point in them bringing in these other ladies if they were only going to be here for like 1.5 episodes. Ryan, she's over here boo-hoo crying in a confessional. And I'm like, girl, it's okay. You can find another man. Matt is not the end-all be-all. So we get to the next day. All the ladies are sitting around waiting like they always do. And Chris ends up dropping off the date card. And it's for Piper. Next thing you know, Serena C, she's going off. She says she doesn't like Katie because she thinks she's annoying and she runs her mouth. So they have a conversation. And Serena feels like their time is being taken away because of Katie's antics. And what she means by that is because Katie was the one who opened up the can of worms about what's going on in the house. It's taking away time from each girl spending with Matt. And as much as I do understand why Katie felt like, it's not fair that people are being treated badly, Serena has a point. Like, for the past has it been 2 or 3 episodes, we have only been talking about bullying and how there are girls in this house who need to go because they're not nice. Like, come on. The whole point was so that y'all can spend time with Matt. Stop being catty. Let it go. So, after this, we have Katie. She's like, well, you're pathetic. And then, Katie is really trying to hold her ground. She's trying to check Serena. And then Serena tells her that, you're starting little fires everywhere. And I'm like, okay, she kind of is. I'm rocking with you on this. Serena, she goes and talks to the rest of the girls, and she says that, Katie has other intentions that are not for Matt. And then next thing you know, Katie ends up walking in, and she's like, I didn't say that, blah, blah, blah. They kind of go back and forth a little bit, but then it just kind of fizzled on out, and I'm like, okay, great, because this argument is going on and on for far too long for my liking. So next thing you know, there's someone by the name of Heather Martin. She shows up looking for Chris, right? So Heather, she knows someone who Matt knows, and she just wants to meet him. So Chris is like, it isn't up to Chris. And they're like so far into this journey, like, why are you here? He says that he'll talk to Matt about it. Whatever. Like, my issue is that, like, why is it that we get a black bachelor, yet y'all keep bringing in all these extra people, kind of screwing up the whole game. Well, not game, but you're kind of screwing up the show when you keep bringing in all these random people for no reason. And he over here wasting time when he could be spending time with the people who were there from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So we finally get to this date with Piper. And I can't lie, they are super cute together. Their date was like a little state fair. And they had it all to themselves. I loved it, actually. But we just got to see, some clips of them riding rides and, playing games together. And then, we get to learn who's going to be on the group date, and whoever name isn't listed on the group date, they're going to get the solo date. And who gets it? Katie. It's finally Katie's time to shine. Throughout this whole episode, we kept getting clips of that girl, Heather. And I'm like, I'm not interested in anything she got going on. So they can go ahead and keep Heather where she is. So after that, we do see back to the Piper and Matt date. She opens up about her family. They don't really say that they love each other, but they, more so show it with actions. And she even starts to cry about it, when Matt says that he can, work with her on that. And because, like, she wants to be more open, but she feels like it's super hard for her. She tells him that she's falling in love with him. And he said he's open and wants to show her that he can be that man for her. He does end up giving her a rose. But he did not say that he was falling in love with her like he did with Rachel. That's one thing that I noticed. Even though I like him with Piper way more than him and Rachel. So the date was not over. They have some group called Temecula Road. They're like they're singing and serenading them. And honestly, Matt and Piper made out the whole time. I mean, the whole entire time that those people were up there singing. um, so now we get to this group date. The group date is like this whole bowling alley thing. Chris shows up, break the ladies up into two teams, the blue team and the pink team. The pink team ended up winning. So it's only 4 girls on that team, which was Jasenia, Chelsea, Michelle, and Serena P. The other ladies are supposed to go home. Of course, they're upset, but then Matt ends up sending a letter to the losing team and tells them that he needs more time. So I was under the impression that they were just going to go on like another date the following day. Nope. That meant for them to go get dressed and then meet him at the after party. So we see him talk to a few of the ladies. He talks to like Michelle, and she was talking about how he has a lot of qualities that she wants in a partner. And Chelsea, she's starting to feel some type of way because she's been waiting and waiting and waiting to talk to Matt. Serena P, she tells Matt that she's falling for him. We finally get Chelsea and Matt talking, and she tells him that she's frustrated because she doesn't want him to give up on her. And now that it's time to give out the rose, he starts listing all these qualities he likes about like a couple of the different ladies. But Michelle is the one who got the rose. I honestly thought that it was going to be Chelsea, but it ended up being Michelle, which is fine. So they keep adding in these clips of this Heather girl. And I'm like, girl, bye. Don't nobody want to see you. After that, we have Matt. He's meeting up with Tyler C. Now, Tyler C is supposed to be from someone named Hannah. Don't know her. He's from her season. And, they're just talking about his experience and him going out with Katie. Yeah, who cares? So, we finally get to this date. That is Katie and Matt. And on this date, one thing I realized is that Tyler and Matt are roommates. I just want to know why. Like, just why are y'all roommates? That's all I want to know. Here's the thing about this whole date. The date is basically that Katie and Matt are going to play a prank on Tyler, right? I mean, Matt thinks this is just like one of the greatest ideas anybody has ever had. And Katie is just going with it like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so much fun. Pranking Tyler. Matt is not confessional, but he's basically saying like, he wants to see, the romantic side of Katie, because I will say they had a good time when they were pranking Tyler, because they were just laughing and, Katie is telling the masseuse to do certain things to Tyler. Like, yeah, it was a good time, but she just didn't have that it factor. We do see a quick clip of Bree and Michelle talking, and they were talking about how Matt and Katie, they may have a good time, but does she have the qualities that he wants in a wife? Now, I will say that I never thought that Katie would be a good fit for Matt. In comparison to like some of the other women like Michelle or Bree, yeah, she doesn't compare. Let's be honest. I'll say this about the conversation with Katie and Matt. It did not seem like he was interested in anything she had to say. Like, he was sitting there in her face nodding and kind of, smiling. But she didn't say anything interesting to that man. So he just kind of, was going with the flow. But I could tell that something was up. So basically, Matt grabs the rose, right? And I'm like, I know he's not about to give her a default rose, because that would have been a default rose. That would have been, I took you out on this date. I guess we can still get to know each other. Here's a rose. Nope. What happened was, he basically tells her that he has stronger connections with other women and that he can't give her the rose. And I'm like, I appreciate the honesty. I really do. I mean, he walks her out, and I didn't realize that meant that she was going home. Y'all, I thought that she was going to get walked out and, she could still live to fight another day. Nope. She was going home. And I'm like, wait, do y'all keep y'all bags packed the whole time? She literally met his best friend for nothing. So the other ladies, they're sitting there waiting to see her come back, but she didn't. Somebody from production came and grabbed her bag, y'all. So it's the night of the rose ceremony or whatever. And again, we see Heather. She's getting dressed to come to the rose ceremony. When Matt comes in, though, when all the ladies are waiting on him to come in, he ends up reaching for Abigail first. I mean, I think he's realized that, she got, the first rose or whatever, the first night. And he ain't really talked to that girl since. She hasn't had no one-on-one. There's a couple of girls that I feel like they should have had a one-on-one by now, and they haven't. And I'm like, well, how are you building a connection when you haven't spent any time with this guy? But anyways, like I said, he took Abigail in there first, and then we see Heather arrive. And when she walked in, she knew exactly where he was. She beelined her way over there, and this is at the time where he was talking to Piper. So he's looking up at Heather when she comes in. He's cracking up, and he tells Piper he's gonna, talk to her later. Piper was pissed. She storms out, and she's, who was that? Who was that? And the other girls are like, oh, she's, Heather, she's been on the show before. And the other girls are not feeling it. These girls are pissed off. And from the previews of, next week, somebody for sure is going home. The other ladies are not seeing it for Heather at all. You see her crying, talking about how the girls can be so mean. So I'm like, okay, so does that mean that this mean girl attitude is back? Because Katie's gone? Because she can't snitch on y'all no more. So we'll see what happens next week. Go ahead and comment, and subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.